What I would like to be the point of this video is that, this kind of stuff contributes to the lack of diversity in higher education. What's up, y'all? Welcome to Random Wednesdays on Gratified Grad, where it's my goal to help you graduate with gratification. And in today's video, we're going to talk about, as my title says, I experienced a racially charged Zoom bombing. Yeah, so I wasn't going to make a video about it because I didn't feel like it was something that needed to be broadcasted. But I did tell a couple of my friends that it happened, and all of them were surprised. Like, they were like, oh my gosh, wow, like that's what a Zoom bombing is. Like, I didn't realize that they could be so hateful. So here I am making a video, and I'm gonna tell you guys about it. And just for reference, this was a call where anyone could join. It was just, a conversational call. So it's not like it was a closed, limited call. I was on a Zoom call, and maybe 20 minutes into the Zoom call, someone comes into the call, and they're just like trying to figure out what the call is about, not really knowing, and trying to just chime into the conversation. The person that clicked in said that they were 16 and they were nervous about going to the Universidad, their words exactly. And so just by the way this person came into the call, like, I was already skeptical. Like, I was already like, who are you? Why are you in this call? So I was just, and I had my video on as well as the host had their video on. And so I'm just kind of like, oh, then I guess the person saw that I wasn't going for them trying to be all buddy friendly. They tried to make conversation with me, and I was just like, who are you on this call? After I really wasn't going for conversation with the person, they just click out and leave, right? And so also the person didn't have their video on, they just had their voice in. So then they click out and leave. And I'm thinking, we're about to get Zoom bombed. 5 minutes go by, and then 2 other people click into our Zoom call. And at first they come in and they have their cameras off and their microphones muted. And then maybe after a minute or 2 of them being on a call, next thing you know, blazing through the audio speakers is the N-word. And it's just repetitively yelling it. And then in the comment box, it was like, kill all N-words, kill all N-words, you should die, you should die. And so I'm just sitting here watching this like, wow. And mind you now, the actual bombing, I would say, lasted about 10 seconds before the host just ended the entire call. But I was just really like, wow, like, so this is how this goes. Within those 10 seconds, right, like one of the people clicked on their cameras and they had like a celebration, like the little cone cap, like a birthday hat cap on, and they had like the little things that blow out, and like just entertaining, right? Like, I guess they were entertaining themselves. They were excited and happy that they disrupted the Zoom call. And so, after the fact, I was a little bit just kind of like, wow, like that just happened. Yeah, that's just how I was. But then I thought about it and I was like, well, one, they don't know me. Like, they're not talking specifically about me. they're talking about the objectified, the objectified thing that people talk about, right? When people don't realize that when they're using this N word, when they're doing all these different black faces and stuff, that they don't realize that they're talking about actual people. And they think that they're just talking about an object, an inanimate object, something that has no feeling, something that doesn't really exist. And so essentially, I was able to rationalize their ignorance and understand that they don't know any better. They haven't been taught any better. They're ignorant. But this leads me to like the real point of, or the more of what I would like to be the point of this video, is that, this kind of stuff contributes to the lack of diversity in higher education. The reason why I was able to cope with and continue going on about my daily life after experiencing this was, one, I could rationalize what happened and why. Two, it doesn't happen on a daily basis. And three, I didn't dwell on what happened. Me just thinking back to the fact that this is the first time I've experienced something like that in 4 years. Yeah, about 4 years. Like the last time that I experienced a overtly racist situation was when I was running through the downtown area of where I'm from, and this white male is like getting out of his car yelling, "Go back where you came from," among other things. So it's not a daily occurrence or a daily experience for me. And so that, to experience that every day, to have to cope with something like that every single day, I don't think that I would be where I am. Like, that's not a conducive environment. But when you think about where a lot of Black people are coming from, or a lot of minority or underrepresented people are coming from, they're coming from areas where it's constantly put in their face what they look like. It's constantly put in their face that, we think you're less than, we think you don't belong. And when that's something that's always in your mind, like that is a cut, right? And though it's not like a large like wound per se, emotional wound, but that is still a cut. That is still something that builds up over time. And on top of the fact of, people from these areas where they're experiencing this all the time, they don't get to heal from it properly. The fact that we are known as being resourceful, resilient, we have perseverance, and we have grit, and things like that. Those things aren't replacements for healing from situations like that. And I think that more often than not, people don't advise us in those situations to heal from what happened, right? To, rationalize it, to come to whatever we need to healthily get past it and heal that wound. It just basically becomes suppressed and swept under the rug, or, just pushed aside. I think two things that came out of that experience that I just want to kind of bring conversation to and talk about is that, one, if you want diversity in higher education, you're going to have to do better about helping people to experience things, to get through, to healthily cope through experiencing things like this. I know you can't change anyone, right? But people can help other people get through situations like this and not just kind of make it seem like it's a normal thing to experience these things and cope with these things, or and not cope with these things, as I should say, just suppress them and push them under the rug. And I think that that will allow people to advance themselves, to further themselves, right? Like if you're still trying to heal, if you're constantly trying to heal from a wound, you're never going to be able to open yourself up to experience just new things, right? Like you have to be at some level of comfort to put yourself out there, to take in a new experience or a new thing. And I think that that's something that the minoritized or the underrepresented group in education, we don't get the chance to heal, right? We are constantly healing. We're constantly in a place of trying to heal. So I think that I have two questions. One being, how can a person healthily heal and cope with experiences like what I talked about? And then two, how can someone on the opposite end, so someone who is trying to help someone through a situation or trying to guide someone through a situation, how can they help that person, right? So how can the person help themselves, and then how can someone else help them? And how can both of these be healthy coping or healthy healing mechanisms and guides? Death by 1,000 cuts is real.